Last night at the Golden Globes, Ricky Gervais, ever offensive comedian, tore into the Hollywood liberal elite, Disney, Amazon, and Apple, because Ricky Gervais is the hero that we need. One of the most poignant things he said is that if you're going to take your award, come up here, don't grandstand, don't talk politics, because you have no idea how the real world works. Most of these people have been rich all their lives. They have no idea how the economy functions, how international relations function, yet they grandstand because it generates press for them. Now, I'll say a few things before we read these stories. While Ricky Gervais opened the Golden Globes by slamming this faux woke liberal elitism, the Golden Globes were still dominated by faux woke liberal elitism, though there were many celebrities who were quite unhappy with Mr. Ricky Gervais, and there are several articles coming out today furious, saying Ricky Gervais was tone deaf and he needs to be removed. Good riddance to Ricky Gervais. Let me tell you something. Yesterday morning, my opening segment talked about how I kind of feel like the liberty side of the culture war is winning. While the Golden Globes was fairly dominated by politics, Ricky Gervais opened it up by saying, hey, yo, this is kind of BS. Granted, he's not coming back. Maybe things could get worse. But it's not just about this. Joaquin Phoenix won an award for Joker. The media tried everything in their power to make Joker this far-right incel movie, and it wasn't. It didn't work. There was a cancel campaign against Ricky Gervais before he started the Golden Globes. Did you know this? Because he made offensive jokes on Twitter. In fact, one of the people, Patricia Arquette, who won an award, was heavily criticizing Gervais, but guess what? They failed. They could not get Ricky Gervais removed. And he even brings this up in his opening monologue about Kevin Hart. He goes on to make a bunch of jokes that went right over the heads of some of the Hollywood liberal elite. Some of these articles that are written, one of the jokes he made was about how the foreign press was too white, lacked diversity, but he was mocking them for constantly pushing a narrative that they don't even fit. And it went over their heads. This is an article from Slate where they're like, this one was on the mark. He criticized the foreign press. It's like, no. You don't understand how he was criticizing them. So here's what I'm gonna do. I want to read some of these stories, but I want to show you the good, the bad, and I want to talk about what's going on in the cultural conflict or whatever you want to call it. It seems like the liberty side might be winning. Now look, I know a lot of people have said it's easy to say, Tim, when a multi-millionaire comedian with, tens of millions of followers or whatever gets up on stage and can say whatever he wants because he's got FU money. And they mention other people who haven't been so fortunate. And here's the truth. While it's true, Ricky Gervais is extremely wealthy. He can do whatever he wants and get away with it. And he's not coming back to the Golden Globes anyway. He's saying something regular Americans agree with. He actually got conservative Americans to watch the Golden Globes. Can you believe this? The ratings probably went up. And now the business is going to recognize that. So while I will fully admit, the little guy, you're still at risk of being canceled by woke outrage and cancel culture. Ricky Gervais, along with Dave Chappelle and Joe Rogan and many other comedians, Louis C.K. to an extent, Aziz Ansari, they're not taking it anymore and they're pushing back. This says to me that while we're still in the thick of things in terms of cancel culture and woke outrage, we're on the back end of that bell curve. We went up that hill, things got really bad, and now we're starting to come back down. Because when these businesses start to see they make money from stuff like this, their ratings go up. This is all the rage right now. Fox News is talking about it. It's on the front page of Reddit across the board. So many different forums posting the monologue of Ricky Gervais. You know why? We are all sick and tired of being told what we can or can't say. We are sick and tired of walking on eggshells. And Ricky Gervais, unfortunately, it's not going to be the little guy, but Ricky Gervais and many others, like I said, Dave Chappelle, Joe Rogan, etc., are leading that charge and acting as a shield to say what everyone is thinking. I am sick and tired of these Hollywood multimillionaires pretending like they care. They fly on private jets while they complain about climate change. Spare me. So let's actually get into the story and read about what's going on. Before we get started, check out timcast.com/lend if you'd like to support my work. But more importantly, I have a new YouTube channel that many of you may have already subscribed to, but check it out. It is youtube.com/timcastirl. Now, initially I wanted to do, van life, travel and do on-the-ground reporting. For a lot of reasons I've explained many, many times, it's very, very difficult, not impossible. So what's going to happen now? I'm launching a new show, Timcast in Real Life. It's going to be a talk show. It's going to be general interest, science, culture. Basically, I'm just going to be ramping up the amount of segments I produce. Subscribe to this channel because I already did a 2.5-hour show last night where I played a fighting game that stars Andrew Yang and Donald Trump and Joe Rogan, and it is hilarious. So check it out. YouTube.com/TimCastIRL. Subscribe for more segments in a variety of different topics. But let's get back to the news. Fox News reports Golden Globe Awards host Ricky Gervais tears into the Hollywood elite, Disney, Amazon, and Apple. That's right. I know I laid into these faux woke leftists, but he went after Disney, Amazon, and Apple, and he went hard. Let's read a little bit, but then I want to walk you through some of it's not all positive, okay? Politics was still there, but I think we have a good picture of the future. I think there's a net positive. Fox News reports the biggest stars in TV and film gathered in Beverly Hills in the hopes of kicking off the 2020 award season with a highly coveted Golden Globe Award, and notoriously controversial host Ricky Gervais wasted no time laying into the Hollywood elite, vying for a big win. Stars from films like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Rocket Man, The Irishman, as well as shows like Big Little Lies, The Crown, and Barry were in attendance, but the comedian and host was undeterred by the many famous faces staring back at him. He called out the many stars in the room for their relationship to large corporations like Apple, Amazon, and Disney. Apple roared into the TV game with The Morning Show, a superb drama about the importance of dignity and doing the right thing, made by a company that runs sweatshops in China. And Tim Cook, they show his face. It's brilliant. He mocked the stars in attendance, and I got to be careful how I frame this, but he literally made an Epstein meme joke and then said, "Shut up. I know he's your friend and I don't care," after the audience groaned. Seriously. He goes after the reported abuse. I think he made a joke about, there was something where he said like, you have to be, something about being blind. You have to pretend like you don't know what's going on, kind of like Harvey Weinstein and everything in Hollywood. He said he targeted Felicity Huffman, saying that he drove in a limo and the license plate was made by Felicity Huffman. Now that was just a roast. I can respect that. That wasn't political. But everyone groaned, and again, he goes, "I don't care." Every time the audience would groan at him, and they did, "I don't care." So, but let's move on from this, because if you want to see his jokes, you can check out his jokes. I want to show you the reaction. Many of you have probably already seen it. Check this out. Oh, man, I love it. During the monologue, look at Tom Hanks' face. Slate.com reports Tom Hanks did not seem to be enjoying Ricky Gervais's Golden Globes monologue. Ricky Gervais is the hero we need, and I'm going to say it, we deserve him. We absolutely do. For many of us, we have sat back while these multimillionaires pretend to care, tell us that they're there for us, but they're lying because they want to sell soap or other brand products. They get up on stage and they say this emotional diatribe to try and convince you that they're actually empathetic people, when in reality, they live in isolated communities with massive gates, and they don't actually care. They just want to make money. And that's the reality. Now, I got no personal beef against Tom Hanks. He's probably a good dude. And the face says to me more like, I can't believe Ricky Gervais is saying this. But sure enough, what do you expect? Well, the woke Twitterati types are quite upset with Mr. Gervais. Not everybody. You know, Vox and BuzzFeed, for instance, gave it more of a neutral stance, right? So for those that aren't familiar, Vox and BuzzFeed are more left-leaning outlets. And I knew it was going to be, I knew exactly how they'd frame this. It was not that bad, right? You know, they have their bias. They do these really awful op-eds. BuzzFeed has written some really bad stuff, but they just gave it a blanket fair shake. Although BuzzFeed, I think, had a little bit that was kind of like eye-rolly. But the LA Times, for instance, Forbes, and The Ringer, none too happy with Mr. Gervais. But guess what? Nobody cares. Sorry. Ricky Gervais made a series of jokes in the weeks coming up, and in the months coming up to the Golden Globes. Jokes about transgender people or transgender issues. And a lot of people got angry, and they started attacking him. Here's the thing. You may remember Kevin Hart got fired from the Oscars for jokes he made in 2011. At this point, many of us saw how powerful cancel culture really was. The jokes were nearly a decade ago, and this dude's getting fired? Ricky Gervais made these jokes last week. And when people started yelling at him, even Patricia Arquette, he said, "I don't care. I'll double down. The more you get offended, the more I laugh." Vox writes an article the other day that said, Ricky Gervais how to do a Ricky Gervais joke, offend, get, rinse, repeat. That's his shtick. Yeah, I'm warning you now. And this goes double for conservatives. If you get offended, Ricky Gervais will come for you because he is the hero we need and deserve. I say deserve because we have sat through this for so long. It has been 6 or 7 years. It has been nearly a decade of walking on eggshells with an ever-increasing outrage mob patrolling the streets, I'm doing air quotes, of Twitter, targeting anyone, even their own. And finally now, at the Golden Globes, at a high-profile event, they couldn't get him fired, and he just rags on all of them. I can't tell you how good that makes me feel. Check out this story from The Ringer. Sorry, I'm losing my voice again. It's part of the job. Good riddance to Ricky Gervais, the sneering, purposefully intolerable Golden Globes host. He's still got it, however much it thrills or disgusts you. So you get the general idea. They're going to repeat a bunch of the same jokes. None too happy. Check this one out. Golden Globes. Ricky Gervais makes a great case for hostless awards show. Does he? I disagree. I think Ricky Gervais convinced a bunch of conservatives and people who are tired of being bullied to finally watch mainstream television. Most conservatives feel that mainstream media is biased against them. And when you look at who's the Golden Globes, the Beverly Hills liberal elites, Tim Cook, CEO of Apple, he's this guy who said, we're going to ban, political speech, certain speech we don't like from our platform, and went on this big diatribe, same as YouTube, same as all these others. And these people are all sitting in the audience. So how do you think a regular working American, particularly a conservative, feels when they turn on that show and that's all they see? No one speaks to them. No one talks about how they feel. No one defends them. Instead, you get fake woke celebrities who complain about Trump building a wall, but who build walls around their multi-million-dollar mansions in the Beverly Hills that you can't even get to anyway. Private estates, Teslas, fancy cars, and they're the ones flying in private jets while complaining that the little guy is using too much water or leaving the lights on for too long. Thank you, Leonardo DiCaprio. So I'll throw some props to Greta Thunberg. At least she used the boat. Now, let's be real. When she traveled across the Atlantic in that boat took a ton of energy to produce. They got it donated. They really did try. I can respect that. I really can. But I can't respect these uber woke celebrities who are like, yes, climate change is the greatest threat of our generation. Now watch me buy 9 beachfront properties and fly across the world in a private jet. Yeah, sorry, I don't take it seriously. And that's why I don't care for these shows. What's interesting to me is that I grew up in a Democratic city. I grew up in a liberal place. I grew up in Chicago. And I could always see this. I felt like I was always struggling as someone in the lower income bracket, as a low income, family, somebody poor, to fight for what made our lives better, to truly believe in certain left-wing policy positions. But the leaders, the people being propped up, the people being funded, they're full of it. They're liars. They're hypocrites. And we all know it. But wait, there's more. Check this out. From the Los Angeles Times, review. Politics reigned at the Golden Globes. Too bad Ricky Gervais didn't notice. I'm sorry, you're wrong. It's too bad you didn't notice. Politics reigned at the Golden Globes, but Ricky Gervais opened the Golden Globes making a point about politics. He noticed. He noticed last year, he noticed the year before, and he knew it now when he opened the show and said, take your little award, thank your agent, and thank God, and F off. Because you know nothing about how the real world works. So the LA Times, you can take your little award and you can F off too. Because you're trying to flip it on Ricky. Ricky knows exactly what your game is. But I also want to be honest, man. Let's be real. Ricky's joking. He's not really, there's to a certain degree, he doesn't mean to be the most brutal. He's just poking fun at hypocrisy. Notably, his own. Ricky Gervais is still a wealthy liberal elite. And that's why I respect him so much. The willingness to be a part of this machine, to be a Netflix, actor, to be a multi-million-dollar Hollywood celebrity. He's great. He's a genuine individual with real integrity who's going to call it out. I got a couple more things I want to highlight, and I want to end with Joker. I'm so happy to hear this. No surprise, Patricia Arquette got political and mentions Iran at the Golden Globes. That's right. It wasn't just her. It was also, I think, who is this? Michelle Williams talks about the difference between choice and life and the choices she had to make and how it helped her. We get it. Politics still reigns supreme. Even if Ricky Gervais is going to poke fun, mock these individuals, they're still going to get political. But there's one last thing I really want to highlight from IndieWire. Joaquin Phoenix wins Best Actor Golden Globe over Adam Driver as Oscar battle heats up. You see, Joaquin Phoenix, he's widely considered a lock to earn an Oscar nomination this month for his performance in the film Joker. Before Joker came out, it received an award, a standing ovation. Joker is one of the greatest films I've ever seen, and I really do mean that. I seriously do mean that. It is not an action film. It is not some hokey hero's journey. It is a character-driven story. It feels a little slow, but not bad. And in the end, it's about an angry guy who lashes out. And people prop him up as a symbol because they're angry. It's got a lot of political messages, but they hit the nail on the head with the hammer. And the people in, I believe it was Italy, who saw it cheered for it. But something happened when it came to North America. The woke Twitterati, the faux woke journalists started complaining that it was a tribute to the far right and incels and was going to inspire terrible, terrible things. Every single, like all of the worst things you can imagine was said about Joker. But Joker won. And when the film came out, when people started actually seeing the film, they started calling out this press, this fake news. This has been a long time coming. There have been a couple of videos I've made in the past where I said, I believe the woke outrage, social justice, cancel culture stuff is dying. It's losing. And there have been many people who have pushed back saying, no, Tim, it's not true. But I made a video yesterday morning, thumbnail, Ricky Gervais, that says it's finally ending. It's finally losing. And what happened that night? Golden Globes comes on. I was streaming, all right? I wasn't watching it. I watched it after I finished my live stream. You can tell my voice is kind of hurt because I talked for like 4 hours yesterday. And I watched the opening monologue. Bravo, good sir. Bravo. I made that video saying, here's what's going to happen. They could not stop Ricky Gervais. And Ricky Gervais got up in front of America and said what so many of us were thinking. And then when it came to the actual awards, they also came and gave Joaquin Phoenix the award because it's this politics stuff is not working anymore. There's going to be a backlash. Now, I'll tell you a few things. I mentioned this the other day. We'll elaborate a bit. Big tech, media, movies, they lag, okay? Politics is downstream from culture, and the cultural, zeitgeist and conversations we have on social media take a while to permeate big business. But Ricky Gervais did something more powerful than just call out the Hollywood liberal elite yesterday. What Ricky Gervais did was proved it is lucrative to call out the insanity. I'm sure their ratings are going to be up. The Golden Globes is all the rave, story after story, tons of press. They could not be happier. They could not be happier because they're going to make a ton of money from this. The ratings for next year will, depending on who they get, if they continue this trend, I know Ricky Gervais is out, but they generated so much press and attention from people who normally don't watch their show. Here's what will happen. There are going to be other network shows, and they're going to see what Ricky did. They're going to see the positive attention. They're going to see that the woke outrage did not work. And they're going to say, their ratings were up. We want money. We want the green. They don't care about politics. You think any of these people care about politics? They do not. The actors will see it. The ones that went up on stage after Ricky Gervais called them out, they already had their speeches prepared. So of course they're going to do it. But as time goes on, less and less people will tolerate the insanity. More and more businesses will recognize how much the general public is sick and tired of this. They will support it. They will ask for more. And I will tell you this right now to the industry. If you do more of that, Ricky Gervais himself, a limousine liberal, you will actually get conservatives watching your shows. You will actually increase your ratings. You will generate buzz. You will make money because this is what the American people want. The fringe zealots of woke Twitter do not speak for the rest of us. So let me wrap up with one final thought that I mentioned yesterday. I believe the Republicans are going to sweep heavily across the board in 2020. I think Trump is going to win. I think the Republicans are going to retake the House. They're going to dominate the Senate. I could be wrong. I could be absolutely wrong. But when we look at 2018, we saw the efforts of the blue wave. People for 2 years were tired of Trump on the Democrat side. So they went out in droves, in force, to stop him. And they got 31 House seats, but they lost the Senate, and and that's about it. What's going to happen when Trump's base returns in 2020? We saw them try to muster their forces, and they failed. So here's what I think is going to happen. The Republicans are going to dominate. And I know if you're on the left, you might be upset about it. I know the far left's probably upset about it. But what's going to happen after that is there's going to be a reckoning. The Democrats are going to ask themselves hard questions. Why do we keep losing? How did we lose this? And I'll tell you, for one, impeachment is not anything Americans actually care about. Some do. I get it. Some do. But Americans want to know that they're going to have food on the table. Americans are sick and tired of walking on eggshells. So long as the Democrats keep pushing this stuff, they will lose, and they will have a reckoning in 2020 where they will reflect or not. But if they don't, they will cease to exist. If they do, they will come to liberal people like me, to people like Dave Rubin, like Joe Rogan, for all the negative opinions you might have about us. And they will say, what can we do to bring these people back? They will turn to Tulsi Gabbard and they will say, what can we do? Because she's certainly been trying, and she's a progressive. But she said, if we don't respect Trump voters, we will lose time and time again. Ricky Gervais is not the first to come out and call this out. Dave Chappelle did it, and there were others before him. But he is the next in line to set the stage, to tell the world we've had enough. It's not about being conservative. It's not about being liberal. It's about American values of free speech, free expression, liberty, humor, jokes. It's about the ability to be free from anxiety that someone will come and take your job away because you accidentally said something offensive. And comedians, of course, are going to be the first in line because they're always trying to be offensive. Hence, Ricky Gervais and Dave Chappelle. I have tremendous respect for all of them, all of these comedians. You know, like Aziz Ansari, Louis C.K., Ricky Gervais, Joe Rogan, etc. Because they're the ones refusing to back down. They're the ones who make us laugh. And with their positions and their followings and their wealth, they have finally turned and acted as the artillery to protect the individuals who want to express themselves without fear. Now, it's true. If you're a little guy, if you're a medium-sized, public figure, kind of like me, we're still at risk. YouTube still censors my content. It's a fact. But I think the tides are turning and freedom is going to win. Because as much as the left likes to argue, the progressives and the far left, they say the left always wins. The future always goes to the left. Wrong. The future always goes to individualism and liberty. Everything you've seen throughout the past, from civil rights to today, not about the left. It's about fighting for liberty. And the left today is not. They're fighting for authority. That will lose. And with it, you will cede ground to conservatives. So be it. Come 2020, you better reflect. I should say the 2020 election is 2020 now. But I will end with this. It's not over. It's not over. You got to remain vigilant. And it's possible Republicans do lose in 2020. I don't know. I was wrong about 2018. I think I'm right now, but I could be wrong. So we'll see. But for now, the tides are turning and things look good. And maybe the freedom of expression will return thanks to people like Ricky Gervais. Stick around. Next segment's coming up at 1 p.m. youtube.com/TimCastNews. And don't forget to subscribe to my new channel, Timcast IRL. It's going to be a new podcast show, general interest, cultural issues similar to this, but I'm going to bring on guests, scientists, talk about academia, studies. It's going to be higher level, but I think it's going to be general gaming, podcast kind of stuff. So I will have a political show, cultural political show, and a general interest show. And there you go. Subscribe. I will see you all at 1 p.m., assuming I can still talk.